Mr. Price Group is a value-oriented, mostly cash fashion and home goods retailer with a market cap 52.9 billion rand.
Exactly. Now, we're going to see in a minute, this one has been the darling of the sector, but has taken a bit of a plunge in recent weeks, partly because of a slightly soft trading update, reflecting for the first time a bit of stress and pressure with regard to sales. We'll have to look into that.
Price to earnings ratio 21.5, certainly not cheap. Dividend yield here of 2.9%. So this is a theme we're going to see in terms of the stocks and how expensive they are, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Now look, running with they're all expensive. The trading update that Paul refers to, it looks like they got some of their buying a little bit wrong in the winter season. And, you know, it's been a very, very mild winter, and it looks like some of the buying caught them a bit unawares. And it's unusual for that to happen to Mr. Price, but, you know, they made mention of it, they came clean, and they said second half, well, it should be an awful lot better. The thing with Mr. Price, well, a number of things with Mr. Price, you know, we shouldn't see this as being a discount retailer, although it is cheap. It sells fashion at a relatively low price. But you don't go there for the same reasons as you go to Pepper Ackermans, for example. You go there as a destination shop because you actually want to buy the fashions at Mr. Price. But secondly, out of all of the online, the fashion retailers out there, it's the only one that I consider to have a decent online offering. You go in there very, very deep, right into their website, and you can actually buy the stuff. They have so many channels where you can buy. So I think very, very clever again, and of course into the rest of Africa. You go into Accra in Ghana, and you see a store there as good as anything, if not better than anything you see in this country. So they've really, again, like Woolies, pretty much covering all the bases, but differently.
Well, you don't have a bad thing to say about Mr. Price
Yeah,
either, do
and
you?
we own some of these. Yeah, it's interesting because I like what Chris is saying there. He's saying that it's not just about cheap, because there are other stores that do cheaper, but which don't play to the fashion advantage that Mr. Price does. So they're very good at monitoring design trends on a global basis, getting stuff made in China. Quick turn. So in effect, I suppose they're mimicking some of the stuff that was invented by Inditex, which is Zara, where you put stuff on and it stays for 2 weeks at the front of the store. When it's not all cleared, it goes further back and the price gets reduced by a third. And then in another week or two, it's right out of the store. So people, as he says, go there because they're looking for something that they know will look trendy, but which will be very affordable, which won't necessarily last forever. And that's been shown to be the way that modern clothing and apparel retail works best.
Let's get that share price graph up on the screen, and that's what you were referring to earlier. Chris, you want to maybe just reiterate the reason for that fall?
Yeah, it looks like, you know, when you're in the fashion space, Bronwyn, it's very, very difficult to get your buying right all the time, every time. So it looks like they had a little bit of a hiccup there, and they talked about it quite extensively in their trading update. But it looks that they're very confident that is not going to be repeated in the second half.
I quite like that transparency that they admitted that they had got it wrong.
Well, there are two elements to getting it wrong. Firstly, Easter fell into the last year but didn't fall into this year because Easter unfortunately moves around. Damned inconsiderate of Easter. And then there was the late onset of winter. So people weren't coming in to buy stuff because they were feeling cold. And then suddenly they all arrived, and so there was some anxiety there related to that quick cycle stuff that I've seen. Remember the founders like Larry Chiappini and Cohen, I forget, Stuart Cohen. Yeah, they were like the founders that modernized the business from its old John Orr's days. And they've been like a conveyor belt, sort of bringing people through. Always been a hallmark of the group.
Hot or not on
Oh,
Mr.
this is
Price?
hot. Absolutely.
Hot or not?
I think so. I think the current share price offers an opportunity. It's obviously a bit depressing that we bought them before the slump and before
Are
the
you going
trading
to buy
update.
more? The question is, are you going to buy more?
Well, we have been accumulating them elsewhere. Here in our little portfolio, we are once again fully invested, so we don't have any more cash, but I suppose we'll have to think about that.